Hey everybody, how you doing? We're doing well. I'm actually recording this before the strike decision, so you know, so like I said, I'm going to continue to proceed with these lectures. Just one thing I want to make very clear is that, and again, if this is irrelevant, if there is actually a decision made on the strike, to actually go ahead with the strike or not go ahead with the strike, and that is, if there is a strike, you choose to not to participate, that's fine. If you choose to participate, that's great, that's fine. Choose not to participate, that's great, that's fine. Just know that this is not going to be a period of actually getting out of work either. That if you actually will eventually have to do the work, okay. If you choose not to participate, there will be make up. You'll have to make up the work. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. The only thing, like again, if there is a strike, I may consider withdrawing the final exam. I just don't know yet. But if there is a strike, I will definitely have the final exam. Okay, we definitely are having the oral presentation. And I want to talk about that today. Um, so let's go to that. So, one suggestion here is that maybe use the Potter's box as like as a guide. This is one of the questions on your exam is like maybe a guide or for how you actually proceed with the actual oral presentation and how it should logically follow. I've had people like just do their entire presentation just based on this. And I've had people incorporate this as part of their presentation. What I really would just want to see more than anything is this, to make sure that we are straight on square on this. And that is, you know, no matter what you do, you all had topics approved. You all basically stated that's great, okay, but just basically first define the issue, okay, no matter what it is, whether you use a Potter's box or not, okay. Make sure you define the issue straight out, okay. Say what it is, and then but what you have to do is you have to back that up now. So when you back it up, I want to see what I saw in the exams, and I want to see like real life examples. Probably, I mean, with a 5 to 10 minute video, you probably want to have at least two, okay. Um, basically something that kind of exemplifies or illuminates your point. Okay. Um, if it's like a question about, again, this isn't, nobody picked this one, but like the lack of ethics in 24-hour news on Fox News or something like that. You would define the issue and then you would bring up maybe real life examples. You could bring up this Dominion case that's been going on right now where they showed that actually a lot of the Fox News hosts have been lying essentially about like their politics and stuff like that, or when Donald Trump was claiming that the election was stolen and they were lying to the people saying that they're basically agreeing with him, but behind the scenes they were telling people that Donald Trump was full of it. So that's basically one example you can use as a real life media case to kind of back up your point about like maybe Fox News, being dishonest and perhaps again, I'm not necessarily taking a political stance. Probably say that about some other news channels, but whatever. All right. It would be good. And again, this is almost like Potter's box likes, but to have like some sort of expert, someone in the know. I mean, it could be like again the ancient philosophers. You could apply their language to this, but somebody who maybe like it'd be probably good to have somebody who has like direct knowledge of the subject, or maybe even like general knowledge of the subject. They've actually who's out there as a critic or somebody who could actually like back up what you're saying. I just feel like when you want to actually like have any kind of backup to a to any kind of like questions you might raise or and the theory you might like create, you want to have somebody else who maybe can like kind of back up the principles of what you say, and it kind of lends credence to what you have. So to try to have that, at least you could have. I'm going to give you somebody actually, Hannah, thank you very much. I was already turning in her oral presentation, so I want to actually show you what she did, where she incorporated a lot of these elements. Okay. And then, of course, after you do all that, make sure that this is clear that you have a decision. And again, that's Potter's box. Like, I have people like go through the whole process of like explaining why this and that and the other thing, but then when they get to, they don't actually say like how they feel. um, you got to have like some sort of decision, some sort of statement that's made. Okay. Also, but going back to one thing I meant to mention is actually sometimes it's actually good to kind of like state the opinion that, that maybe defends, like if it was Fox News, for example, you're saying it's unethical. So maybe somebody defends Fox News for what it is, but to maybe like one I think a very effective way of arguing a point is to argue your way out of it. Okay. And one way to argue your way out of it about Fox News being like defending themselves or whatever and stating that they're fair and balanced, all this stuff again is maybe raise the Dominion suit. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the voting machine company that that was like whose integrity was questioned, and they were accused of being like cheating for the Democrats by Trump and a bunch of other people. And the Fox News hosts actually had these people on and basically almost kind of lent credence to what they were saying, gave them some legitimacy. And Dominion sued them big time. It could be like one of the probably the biggest libel case in history, even and very provable, even though it's very hard, as we've discussed, to actually prove libel in its truest form. I mean, the Times v. Sullivan cases we talked about made it easier for reporters to make mistakes, but in this particular case, reckless disregard for the truth and actual malice may have been involved because they were purposely trying to maybe like hurt Democrats, hurt hurt the election, hurt back up Trump, hurt Joe Biden, that sort of thing. So, and you come up with your decision. Okay, so that's basically that's I'm giving you essentially like an outline of like how this thing could go. And like I said, the Potter's box actually kind of follows that outline. So you could probably just use the Potter's box to do that too. You could use written statements from people that like back up, from critics, that sort of thing, that back up what you're saying. You could have like video to back up what you're saying of people talking. I would suggest that like you be careful about like the length of video because sometimes I've had people like use video to back up their point or use video to show their case, like in the case of Fox News, and lying to people and that sort of thing. And the tape goes on for like 5-10 minutes. Just don't waste your time that much. You just need like a small, like 30-second to 1 minute clip, perhaps, to like kind of prove your case if you're going to use video. Okay. All right. So that's my little preview. And again, that is due in a week. And again, if there is a strike that's on, I'm going to be delivering this lecture via email. But what I said also before was that I'm not going to post, if there is a strike, I'm not going to post anything new on Canvas, which basically would, that's the reason why I probably wouldn't have a final exam. But if I'm sorry, I'm just losing my track. I have already posted the oral presentation, so please continue to use Canvas to submit assignments like this one, okay? The oral presentation assignment, okay? And you'll see everything is here. You know, there was somebody who actually presented to the class a long time ago, back when I actually used to teach this in person using PowerPoint, but they actually make sure I would suggest somebody use PowerPoint, and that's great. Hannah used it. It was great. And she actually talked with it and that sort of thing. That's great. I was just doing like a video instead, and maybe you can use PowerPoint as a background. It's actually, I have to tell you, to give you the honest truth, it's much easier for me to load them. I got my old computer. But anyway, I would just suggest you just do a video, maybe do like something like you could use PowerPoint, but just do something like Zoom yourself or something. Okay. I have an example here of one that worked, but I want to show you something that actually Hannah did here again. And it's a very good assignment, and Hannah doesn't know already. Hannah, you're going to get an A on this. So I just haven't really had the time to tell her that yet. So let's see here. Let's go to, actually should have had this up already. Okay, let me just go back a little bit here. These are like all my papers for the other classes and stuff. Okay. All right. My oral presentation folder, and here's Hannah's presentation, which I converted into a video. So let's have that come up. And like I said, she actually did probably more than the Potter's box, and like incorporating the Potter's box into what she was saying to prove her point. But let's actually go to that right now. Oh, here we go. You're actually gonna see me in like the corner of this too, because like I said, I taped it. All right. Ready? Here we go. and actually me talking. Here is Hannah's presentation. Let me just go ahead. Oops. Okay, let me start. There we go. All right, here it is. There it is. That's my email, by the way. There we go. Serious glorification of use, violence, drug use, etc. as a show on HBO that follows a 17-year-old struggling with drug addiction, as well as the dramatic and difficult lives of those. Plot explores not only addiction, but racial preference, also tells the stories of those who are individuals, transgender, self, struggles with sexual identity. Football star facing difficulties in college, Cassie, who struggles with being constantly sexualized rather than loved, Maddie, who navigates a toxic relationship with Nate, and Karen, who's beginning to explore her sexuality with audience increase. And these characters all carry trauma, whether it be from family members, financial struggle, illness, abuse. In the show, it depicts them abuse under the influence of substances, engaging in dangerous sexual activities, and the law, shootouts, making pornography, relationship violence. So that's actually what she's doing right there. She's stating the problem about the show. She felt about it. But it also helps to actually kind of explain what is involved in the show. And again, the media deals with more than just traditional news media. It goes into TV programming, that sort of thing. So basically that's what it's concentrating on, and she's basically helping to provide context by providing what the characters do and that sort of thing, and like what places they serve in this TV show. So this is what you would consider maybe a critic of somebody, and it's not just like somebody. I want somebody who actually has like credibility, somebody who actually has credibility and background in this particular topic, perhaps, even generally speaking, and she actually got somebody like right directly related to it, Dare, who has dealt with obviously drug use, resource education, and school level, that sort of thing. And maybe this particular program might be targeted, or it may be watched by a lot of people of that school age. Facing issues and conditions. It's coming. You can see it got all stuck. When examining the ethics of Euphoria, one could look at the doctrine of the golden mean, which basically says that the ethical balance between two extremes. Euphoria does not lie between the extremes of serious exploration issues and realization. The show's so many details, backwards special effects, comedy, makeup, production value, By the way, just so you know, her decision was basically essentially stated the problem at the beginning, but notice that the second thing she talked about essentially was her basically stating exactly why. That was her decision actually didn't come at the end necessarily of this presentation. It came like actually in the middle. The second was actually earlier, it was actually right around here. So I meant to say that actually. Oops, there we go, right there. Oops, not there. Not there. There. Yeah, glorification problem, basically. Okay, but what she's doing is actually just kind of proving it through different points. Critics, the impact it has on people, that sort of thing. Right? Oops, here's actually it'll be a psychiatrist. Okay, so we saw this. Okay. Saw there. Oops, I'm going too far. I'm sorry about this. So again, another critic. So we've had Dare, we've had a psychiatrist, we've had Aristotle, and like I said, we started off by basically stating that euphoria is a general problem, and then essentially I said that the decision came in late, a little bit later. That was like a more specifically why it was a problem, and now we're continue to back up the second slide essentially about why it is a problem, that sort of thing, with these expert critics in the know. You did a great job in this, but you don't need all these people. I just want to let you know, and then it's not a criticism. But she actually really kind of proved her point already, so I'm actually good with it. So just so you know. Actually, that's an excellent point too. I wanted to say is that, you know, I talked before about like trying to argue your way out of a problem, and one thing to keep in mind when you do these presentations is that these media companies or whatever they need to make money. So you have to kind of factor that in. What she's basically saying here is that actually got rid of what I had before, but is that you know and I always argue this too. There's like a certain legacy. There's like TV shows that have happened in the past, and I mean, I've talked about this before, and they made a lot of money and that sort of thing right away. They were like shows like Jersey Shore and that sort of thing. They're still popular, I get it, but there's actually TV shows out there that actually like are doing much better on reruns and that sort of thing. Like there was this TV show 50 years ago, The Odd Couple, that is actually still doing really well on reruns. And what's amazing is that it was done by the same people that Happy Days, which was not a critic's favorite show, but but Odd Couple is actually doing better on streaming and that sort of thing. While Happy Days you can't find anywhere. That's the show that had the Fonz, Henry Winkler. If I see him on Twitter, I don't know. But anyway, that's the show also had the Jump the Shark thing, where basically like whenever a TV show goes downhill, if they jump the shark, it was taken from Happy Days because Fonzie jumped the shark in Happy Days while on water skis. So there's much more of a staying power with some of these classic shows because people eventually do come around to them. So the question is like, if money is a factor, like, is it better to have the show that has a legacy or the show that's just a quick hit? You know, so I mean, is this show going to have staying power? Or is it going to be kind of cast aside eventually as like maybe a mistake in history? We don't know. You know, it's coming. Don't worry. So this is she does a good job here, but kind of arguing out of it. Balance. So the loyalty section of the Potter's Box appears to be loosely following the Potter's Box here. Is probably the area where maybe you'll kind of provide the balance. Like, what's the reason for doing this in the first place? What are the loyalties here? That sort of thing. And then, of course, there's always a loyalty to money that I just talked about. But again, like when you deal with loyalties, it is the loyalty. There's the staying power is a big factor. Okay, and again, when you deal with like TV shows, that sort of thing. I mean, you got to ask yourself. I mean, did the people who did The Odd Couple, are they making a lot more money now on that than the people who made Happy Days or Jersey Shore or shows that were like, huge hits for like a short period of time? I don't know. Didn't need to say that. That's fine, Hannah. But anyway, so so that was her presentation. Very good. I like the balance that was provided there, but obviously, like the decision was made early that this was an ethical show based on the you know some of the principles she outlined there that basically kind of almost like kind of foment the whole idea that what's being done here is acceptable and that sort of thing. And eventually, like maybe that might produce like some sort of a quick hit value to it. But when people look at it down the line, they may think to themselves, well, that was actually just kind of, um, what is the term that's typically used? A guilty pleasure that I just got over, like a soap opera. So I mean, I'm not saying I feel that way. I'm just saying that this appears to be the argument. And that like maybe a quality show with ethical principles actually would have lasted longer and maybe I had a much more staying power, that sort of thing. So, all right. So let me know if you have any questions. If you want me to look at anything before it's submitted or anything like that, that's fine. I'd be happy to help. Okay. So that's it, and I'll be talking to you soon.